So there are some really huge detrimental mistakes that you can make when starting out in music. But whether you're starting out or you've been in the game a while, I don't want you to jeopardize your career by making these same mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the top 5 mistakes that I made when starting in music and show you how to avoid them. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. Now, right before we get into this video, if you're a musician looking to make some serious passive income, grow a fan base, and just expand what you do, I'm advising all musicians like this to start a YouTube channel today. Right now, YouTube is and continues to be the biggest opportunities for musicians' growth, expansion, and making money. And because of this, I've created the YouTube QuickStart course. This course is designed to get you up and running and making money on YouTube really quickly and easily. And the best part is it's completely free and you can get instant access to it at the link in the description of this video. Okay, so the first mistake I made when starting out in music is not charging for performing and for playing. So there's this really huge myth that when you're starting out in the music industry that you just really need to get out there and just pay your dues and focus on that and not charge any money. And then there's also the mentality of the musicians themselves that get into the music industry that just says, hey, I just want to do this. I'm doing this for fun. And you know, I don't really want to charge people. I don't want to really go through that. I just want to do this for fun. And both of those mentalities are a huge mistake. This is something that I tell people all the time. There is a close relationship between money and what people see as valuable. People tend to see things that are free or that cost, pennies on the dollar as less valuable than something that costs more. So for example, take your average dollar store item versus something that you would buy, say, in the Apple store. There's a big difference in the way we value those items that's in both of those stores. And this is exactly what happens to musicians when they get into the industry and don't charge money. They start to be seen as, starters and amateurs and not valuable as someone who is charging a higher price. And one of the biggest reasons that it's a mistake to do this when starting out is because it's really hard to transition into now charging more money and charging especially high dollar. Because think about it, people will really just see you as, well, you were free last year or last month. Why all of a sudden now you're charging me, $300, $400, $500 or whatever the price is. So it's a really big mistake to get into gigging and the music industry and all of that and just not charge anything and not be paid for your time and for what you do and your talent. Now, following that, another mistake that I made is not learning the business. So of course, with the money aspect of it comes the business part, right? Well, since I wasn't really adamant about charging money and, dealing with people based on money, I didn't really take the time to learn the business. So I didn't really learn how to talk to and deal with clients properly in a business manner and write contracts and exchange contracts and sign contracts and things like that. I didn't know that people would take advantage of you and use you for your time and that there were janky promoters who would just try to get the most out of you without paying you. I didn't get things like learning how to split money with the band members properly and how to deal with tips properly and all of that. One of the first tours that I went on as a musician was with an artist who took advantage of me and the rest of the band members. And it was largely because we didn't know how to handle business properly. And this is something that is extremely important, especially in today's age. You really have to learn how to handle business properly, professionally, and deal with people with things like exchanging of contracts, exchanging of money, all of that. This is something that if you don't do, you set yourself up to be taken advantage of, to be looked over, to be not valued, and all of that. So this is a huge mistake. Now, another mistake that I made was not standing up for myself. So with a lot of that stuff that came with being taken advantage of and not being paid and dealing with janky promoters and all of that, I was at least somewhat aware of like the things that those type of people do and how they would treat you. And I had moments where all of this stuff came to me as a thing like, you know, what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? And I just kind of backed off and I didn't stand up for myself and say, hey, no, we're going to demand to be paid or we're not going to perform and things like that. Like, no, we're not going to do the stuff like follow you to the ATM after the gig is over so that you can get us our money that you knew you were going to have to pay us before, you know, even tonight began. But that's the kind of stuff or the way in which I would have dealt with that type of stuff. But instead, I let it slide. Sure, we'll follow you to the ATM. Sure, you can write us a check and wait till Monday to cash it. And of course, because of that, when it came time to deposit or cash that check, it bounced and the person was nowhere to be found. So there is a really big part of this music industry thing where you have to be firm and you have to stand up for yourself. You have to make it clear that, you know, the things that you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept, because people will absolutely take advantage of you. It's like the animal nature thing, like in the animal kingdom, a lot of times the predator animals go after some of the weaker prey animals because, of course, they're easy to get. They're easy targets. So if you don't want to be prey for things like this, you definitely need to stand up for yourself. And it's one of the mistakes that I made when starting out. Now, another mistake that I made was not investing in good professional equipment. Now, this one is kind of tricky because I talk about all the time how you don't really need professional level, you know, the top of the line equipment to get started in music, to start gigging, to get out there and, you know, make things happen. And that's true, you really don't. But there is something to be said about investing in professional equipment. Because the thing is, you want to invest in where you want to grow to. And the fact of the matter is, by and large, most of the professional musicians who do music professionally, who are making the top dollars, getting all of the good gigs and stuff like that, they have good professional equipment. They're not going around playing professionally and performing in professional venues with Pawn Shop brand drums or some sort of learner Casio keyboard that they got from Walmart. So like when you want to be a professional musician, when you want to play in that arena, you need to be playing with the same stuff that, you know, the same tools that they play with. Now, again, that doesn't mean the top of the line instruments or whatever the case may be. It just means investing in having and possessing good equipment. You do not want your career to be at the mercy of the equipment you have, because you will be seen a certain way. And when they see you a certain way, that kind of puts limitations on how high you can go. Now, this next mistake is the most important one to me, and that is I made the mistake of not getting help. Like, oh my God, this is something that so many musicians deal with. We try to do everything by ourselves. We try to go at it alone. We want to release music and put out CDs and EPs and stuff like that, yet we don't want to collab with anybody. We want to try to do it all ourselves. We want to write all of the music, write all of the songs, and just hoard it all and say, no, this is mine, this is mine. And we don't think about how getting help from other people can affect us and can help us and can bring in a better, more well-rounded project, for example. But also, we don't get help in our business endeavors, like learning, like I said, like the business of music. We don't search out people to help us with that kind of stuff. And as a result, we end up falling by the wayside. We end up not making the money, and we end up making these mistakes and dealing with stuff like janky promoters because we haven't been taught how to deal with them, largely because we haven't sought out help. So this is something that's really, really huge and detrimental. Like, you want to be collabing with people. You want to reach out to people, especially with the things that you don't know how to do. You want to be getting help from other people that can show you how to do those things, or at the very least, help you get started or point you in the right direction of making the things happen that you want to make happen. Now, speaking of business and contracts and all of that, if you want to learn more about, how to do business and how to sign contracts and why contracts are important, you definitely want to check out these videos right now.